We're back with Dr. Kelly Gebhardt from Happy Tales Veterinary Clinic answering your pet questions. Remember, you can text those questions. The number is always at the bottom of your screen. All right, this one gets us started off on the Valentine's Day treat stuff. Is it okay to feed your dog the miniature candy hearts that have Valentine sayings on them?
So one, you want to make sure that they're not sugar-free with xylitol because xylitol is toxic to dogs. So if they have xylitol in them, I wouldn't do it at all. If they are just the sugar hearts, yeah, it's not the best thing because it's pure sugar and it does have artificial color in them. One or two is not going to hurt, but I think in general I wouldn't let them get a lot of them because it can cause some upset stomach or pancreatitis. And those artificial things in them, I think, are not the best thing for our pets. But one or two is not going to hurt as long as it's not sugar-free.
Okay, as long as it's not sugar-free. So we've got a graphic up now that shows people toxic treats, and chocolate's on there. Xylitol is on there. That's the sugar-free stuff. Flowers and alcohol. So, I mean, chocolate is always one of those things people are always asking, is my, dog going to die if it eats chocolate?
Right. So the thing about chocolate is the darker the chocolate, the more toxic it is, and the less your pet needs to ingest to achieve a potentially toxic dose. White chocolate's doesn't have any chocolate toxicity components in it, so it's not going to be toxic, but it could cause vomiting, diarrhea, or pancreatitis. But milk chocolate is less toxic than dark chocolate, which is less toxic than semi-sweet, which is less toxic than baker's chocolate. So as you go up in darkness, it goes up in toxicity. The amount they need to ingest all depends on their weight and the amount of, or the darkness of the chocolate. But the symptoms of chocolate toxicity start with vomiting, diarrhea, hyperexcitability, agitation, up to elevated heart rate, seizures, and there are some potentially fatal doses, but chocolate toxicity is a very treatable toxicity. If you're going to get a toxicity, chocolate's a good one to get because it's very manageable with enough time and treatment. But the thing about chocolate is that it's not just those immediate potential toxicities that we have to worry about, but also over the next week, the pet is at risk of gastroenteritis or pancreatitis from the fats and sugars in the chocolate. So you deal with the immediate problem, and then over the next week, they can have vomiting, diarrhea, or pancreatitis. So there's like this two-stage process problem. But so I would, in general, just if you can avoid chocolate, that's what to do.
Right, take it out of the kids' school bags and stuff if you're putting them on the floor, if you got a nosy dog, that kind of thing. And if you do notice that your dog has eaten chocolate, you need to call right away. You don't need to wait.
Right, because then we can help you figure out, is it a potentially toxic dose? And if it is, then you bring them in, we make them vomit, and then we decrease the amount of chocolate their body has to process and the risk of toxicity. And if they did ingest a toxic dose, then we talk about what's the dose and what is the treatment recommendation for that for hospitalization and stuff.
Okay, let's get to some questions. This person is asking, what should you do if you notice your cat is limping on her back leg? She's about 5 years old.
Definitely, first thing is get a physical exam to localize the area of pain and talk about the history and try and figure out what may be going on. X-rays and pain relief may be needed, but the first step is a physical exam. So follow up with your vet and get her checked out.
All right, this person's asking, my dog has consistent ear infections. They've been to the vet 5 or 6 times in the past 6 to 8 months. What can I do to prevent these ear infections?
Well, the number one underlying cause for ear infections is allergies. So addressing the underlying allergy is going to long-term help decrease those recurrent allergic symptoms, whether it's ear infections, itchy skin, problems between the toes. But you have to get to the underlying problem, which is most commonly allergies. And then also you want to make sure that there's not this antibiotic resistant or medication resistant infection. Some of those can be very difficult to treat. And if they're middle or inner ear, then that's a whole nother treatment plan. But first thing, address those allergies, whether that's a food allergy or environmental allergy, and then get those symptoms, those infection symptoms under control as well, and hopefully long-term things will be better. And there are veterinary dermatologists available. There's a veterinary dermatologist in Greensboro that you can actually make an appointment with. It's eye allergy. I'm blanking on the name right now, but there is one in Greensboro that you can follow up with, make an appointment. You don't need a referral. And if you're having recurrent problems, that's always a great resource.
Okay. This person has a racing pigeon, and they need a racing pigeon to be looked at by a vet. Do normal vets do that?
Not most vets don't actually see birds, but racing pigeon sounds very cool. And I would recommend seeking care with an avian specialist. So there's one in Durham, there's one in Raleigh, and the vet school as well. So there's Dr. Dan in Raleigh, there's the avian specialist in Durham, and the vet school. So any of those would be great, but I would follow up with an avian specialist.
Okay, all right. We're going to continue to take your questions. We're going to check in with the forecast really quick.